Illinois State Fair. It is Springfield's Morning News. I'm Greg Bishop on 92.7 WMAY, right across from the Carnival Midway, catty corner to the Reich Pavilion. It's an absolutely gorgeous day, Republican Day today. And after Democrats had Governor's Day yesterday, they blasted Republicans as extremists, as radicals, and to get some of the reaction to that from Republicans, we talk now with State Representative Tom Demmer. He's the Republican candidate for Treasurer. We'll actually talk with the Secretary of State candidate coming up in a bit. But Tom, thanks for taking time with us this morning. How you doing?
I'm doing great, Greg. It's great to be out here. What a beautiful, beautiful morning it is at the fair.
It is, and I've been blessed to come out here in the morning to watch the place come to life. So it's really just an incredible experience. Let's get your reaction to some of what you may have heard or read about what Democrats had to say about Republicans being extremists, being fringe. Are Republicans extremists and fringe?
No, look, there's a lot of people across the state of Illinois who are on the Republican side on a lot of key issues. You know, one that we've talked about quite a bit is on taxes and on spending. You know, we just had a referendum in 2020. There was a question on the ballot about the graduated tax. Illinoisans, after Republicans voted against it, argued against it in the legislature, Illinoisans agreed with us. 54% of people in the state voted against that signature initiative from Governor Pritzker, and they said no thanks to this idea that we're going to continually raise taxes instead of try to, live within our means in state government.
We've got a whole host of other issues that don't necessarily impact the treasurer's office, but the governor talking about an assault weapons ban and talking about reproductive rights issues. Of course, you're still in the legislature as a state rep. We've heard possibly a special session, but it seems that's kind of fizzled away. What do you expect to happen in veto session and even in lame duck session at the beginning of the year next year?
That's a great question. I don't know anybody can really answer that right now. There were the talk that we were going to get called back for a special session. That has not come to pass so far. It could at any moment. That's has been known to happen before. But I don't know. It's a lifetime away in political and governmental time to get to November, and there's obviously a big thing called an election right before that. So I don't know that anybody could tell you what's going to happen right now.
Well, speaking of that election, you are, of course, the Republican treasurer candidate. What do you think separates you most from the Democrat incumbent, Mike Frericks?
Well, look, I'm running because I think the Illinois State Treasurer should be a watchdog for taxpayers, somebody who's going to be a check and a balance. There's a reason that we elect a treasurer and we don't just, outsource the keeping of the books to somebody else, the running of these accounts to somebody else. We elect a treasurer because they're accountable to the voters of Illinois. They can't be fired by the governor. They can't be told what to do by the governor. And there should be somebody who's going to speak up on behalf of the voters who elect them, be kind of an independent voice. We just don't see that out of our treasurer today. And I think we need somebody who's going to talk about how the fiscal decisions we're making in the short term are affecting the state over the long term. Somebody who's going to advocate for taxpayers. Mike Frericks has just said, let's raise taxes to solve those problems. I think that's the wrong solution.
The treasurer invests state money. Talk about that and why that's important for taxpayers to better understand how their tax dollars are being invested.
Yeah, the investment part is really important and a key piece of the treasurer's office. And as everybody knows, as you hold money, you have to do something with it. You have to find a place where you're balancing the risk with the potential for growth, with the potential for a rate of return on those dollars. You should be looking to make sure that you're maximizing rate of return without risking unnecessarily taxpayer dollars, because that helps alleviate some of the pressure that taxpayers have. You don't have to go back to them for additional if you're able to make wise investments.
We've heard in the past conversations about having a comptroller and treasurer office merger of sorts. I've heard it brushed off that that's not really going to save taxpayers much at all, but do you support this idea, and would it save taxpayers money?
I do support the idea. In fact, in the House of Representatives today, I've introduced a constitutional amendment to merge those two offices. It would save taxpayers money. I think we've seen that year after year, really from folks of both parties talk about that. But then also, I think in addition to the taxpayer savings, you also get that office that really can function even more so as a watchdog, as a check and a balance, as a counterbalance to, there's one message that comes out about the state's finances from the governor, whoever it is at the time. There should be a little bit of a counterpoint there, maybe a balance to say, let's consider both sides of this coin.
State Treasurer candidate Tom Demmer with us. He's a Republican state representative here with Springfield's Morning News as we broadcast live from the Illinois State Fair. If people need more information about you, of course, you're in a particular legislative district. Some people around the state may not know who you are. If they need that information, where can they find it?
TeamDemmer.com. TEAM Demmer.com.
TeamDemmer.com. And just a little bit more background on you. Family, prior occupation. Talk a bit about that.
Yeah, so I was born and raised in Dixon, and that's where I still live today with my wife, and we've got two kids. So a daughter who just started kindergarten on Tuesday, and then a 1.5-year-old son. So I've got plenty to chase around when I'm not on the campaign trail back home. And then outside the legislature, I worked in hospital administration, a small not-for-profit hospital in Dixon, same place I was born, and a big part of the community there, and did a lot of strategic planning and some of the development work for them. And
in your time as an elected official, how do you feel that's going to benefit you if you get into the treasurer's office?
Well, so for the last 7 years or so, I've been the chief budget negotiator for the House Republicans and spent an inordinate amount of time working on state fiscal issues, and having that familiarity, but also understanding how some of the arguments are made, how people sometimes cast finances in a certain light in order to suit a political outcome. We're certainly seeing that with the governor at one time saying the state's finances, we must pass this tax or we'll never survive, and now painting a very rosy picture as he seeks re-election. So I think you need to be able to see through some of those arguments and be able to present a little bit more of a fact-based approach, and that's what I've been working to do in the legislature, and that's what I do as state treasurer.
State Representative Tom Demmer, the Republican candidate for state treasurer. Greatly appreciate you taking the time with us this morning live from the Illinois State Fair, and we'll see you around the fairgrounds, all right?
Thanks, Greg.
It is Springfield's Morning News on 92.7 WMAY, Springfield's News.